Yes, my headset. My headset. It's like a pilot. It's like a pilot that doesn't have any ear equipment on. You can't fly a plane without something, right? I might have a Modelo tonight and watch the Yankees. I hope they don't get swept. I know I don't have a running me of 4 games in a row. No, that only happens once in a lifetime. That doesn't. If that happened more, it would happen more. It doesn't happen. It's pretty remarkable how teams can't come back from 3-0. It really is kind of amazing. Ricola. Dodger fans, I tip my cap to you. There's nothing more I can say. You're kicking our ass. Even though you needed a walk-off grand slam and the Yankees had bases loaded in game 2. Bases loaded in game 2 at the end of the game. I mean, last night was a joke. They just got humiliated. But there is a ray of hope. And the ray of hope is the Dodgers are pitching a bullpen game today. Yankees should be able to hit a bullpen pitcher. You know, a bullpen pitcher. I mean, you're not starting Oral Hershiser or Clayton Kershaw or Walker Buehler. And then the Yankees have Cole in game 5. And I'm telling you, he ain't coming out after 88 pitches. Now, if the Yankees can win 1, they can win 2. I don't think they can win 4, obviously. But I'd love to get on a plane. And see what they can do in Dodgers.
It's October baseball. Don't you say
No, but the interesting thing is this isn't Rangers, Diamondbacks. This is Dodgers. Dodgers don't lose 4 in a row. Some of those other teams might.
2004 Yankees.
2004 Yankees lost 4 in a row.
They don't. Yeah, but they shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Don't think this is over yet. If I know one thing about LA, they're already planning the friggin' celebrations, and that's when you're gonna kill them.
Cool off with our ice cold, authentic Greek fries. Discover your new favorites at Stefano's. Order online or off the app.
All right, let's get this thing going. Give me a couple of topics, Raider related, if you want, or football related. I'll get on that. Appreciate the bricklayers here. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. Remember, we just started this thing a few months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, and didn't put much into it. Now we got some momentum, but we need to get to certain levels now, so I need your help with that.
KRLD Las Vegas.
You're listening to the JT the Brick Show, where the Raider Nation has come to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio, your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT, today on a beautiful day, October 29th, 2024, JT the Brick Show, brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7, midnight to 2. The owners of the Strat and all those taverns know how to put on a show for you, especially if you're going to watch sports, you're going to watch hockey. We're getting into hockey today on the show. My first interview of the season with Gary Lawless coming up in exactly 1 hour. You can watch all your PT's action with the Golden Knights at all of their locations. They're a proud partner, and we welcome everybody into the show. We got a pretty good show today, and Bobby booked it all. We got Chris Myers from the NFL on Fox. He calls games. He called that Charger victory. He doesn't do many Charger games. Who else we got? Gary Lawless, I mentioned. Paul Gutierrez, big ESPN insider of the Raiders in 10 minutes. We're going to fit him into the monologue. And then we have Bill Williamson, who is the longest tenured Raider insider in town. No one has covered the Raiders longer than Bill. He's a straight shooter. He says some hard stuff. And he's very, very detailed on his analysis. And his analysis is not good for the Raiders, period. All right, as we open up the show, I still think we need another day to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs loss. That's just my opinion. You could want to go on to Cincinnati. I don't know many people here that want me to break down Cincinnati on a Tuesday. I don't know, but I know a lot of Raider Nation is still upset about the loss. A lot of Raider Nation really furious about how the season went from 2-2 to 4 losses in a row, and all in games where the score was tied or the Raiders had the lead early. That's what's bothering me the most. If you want to know what's bothering me the most, other than my Yankees on the verge of getting swept, I need a miracle. I need a miracle. Because I thought I had 2 weeks of the World Series, Bobby. I thought I had 2 weeks of my sons, my wife, maybe my dad at the back end of this. I'm going to see my dad during bye week and mom. I thought I was going to enjoy the World Series. My team's in the World Series. All I want to do is drink cold Modelo, watch the games, meet my buddies at sports bars, and kind of get loud as a Yankee fan, and I'm getting humiliated. We're bringing out Fat Joe to perform. Really? Derek Jeter throws out the first pitch. Unbelievable. Derek Jeter, the captain, comes out with a Yankee jacket on, throws a strike down the middle. All right, we're back. We got Jeter, the captain. And then we bring out Fat Joe to go and rap. You don't do that at Yankee Stadium. Okay, we don't do that at Yankee Stadium. We don't bring in Fat Joe to perform at Yankee Stadium when we need a win. Give me a break. Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, Billy Joel, the late, great Frank Sinatra from Hoboken. We don't bring in Fat Joe to stand on the mound and try to do what Ice Cube did so great in L.A. We don't try to top that with Fat Joe. You can tell I'm worked up with that. It's Yankee Stadium. We do it a different way. We don't do Fat Joe after Derek Jeter. You want to do Fat Joe? You do him before Derek Jeter. You do him in a parking lot underneath the train station. You don't do it on the mound with Fat Joe. Who the hell's running that joint? Stop. Calm down with the entertainment. We need to play ball. Okay? We got El Capitan, Derek Jeter, or Mariano Rivera coming out. We don't need to hear a rapper. Okay? We don't need that garbage. Fat Joe, I'm sure some people like him. Give me a break. That got me going last night. I'm losing my mind as we open up the show. All right, the Raider loss, as I said, to Kansas City was troublesome because they could have won the game. Oh, be quiet, JT. What do you mean could have won the game? I was there. Weren't you there? A lot of Kansas City fans there. They even told me. Raiders were in the game. Why can't they win? Why can't the Raiders find some type of success this year? Why does it have to be so difficult? Well, it's difficult for number one because they're injured. I was telling a buddy of mine in Miami, I'm going with the Raiders to the Dolphin game. That's my road trip this year. He said, man, Raiders look okay. And then I turn the TV back on and they lose. What's going on out there out west? I'm like, yeah, I mean, they show up. They're ready to play. I think they got good energy. They come out. They got smoke coming out of the tunnel. They got Charles Woodson on the big board. They got me and Eric Allen with the microphone trying to get the crowd going. I think it's working. Everybody's ready to play. And then one thing goes wrong. One thing goes wrong. You know when you deal with space, Bobby, and they're on there ready to take off, and then they stop. They don't shoot the rocket off. They go, hold on, something's not right here. We're gonna postpone it till tomorrow. Well, that's what's happening with the Raiders now. We can't postpone a game. We got to play the game. We got to play it to the end. I've said this about every Raider team going back to my first original hire. I got hired the same day as John Gruden got hired. Fact. Same day. John Gruden got hired. I got hired by the Raiders. That's the first run of Gruden. The Raiders went to 2 AFC championship games and a Super Bowl. I got an AFC championship ring, surprise possession of mine, voted on by the team. And I saw some winning early in my career. I've seen some winning seasons since, some 10-win seasons, the Jack Del Rio 12-win seasons. I've seen some 8-8s. I've seen some bad seasons, of course. The Terrell Pryor, Jamarcus Russell. I've seen some bad seasons. But this season is going to be involved in one of the worst seasons if the Raiders can't find a way with their remaining players who are healthy to compete and win games. I mean, I'm at that point now before Halloween. I didn't think we'd be at this point. You know, I thought the Raiders would win maybe if they had a good year, 9 games, maybe compete, because I like the roster. But then again, I found out that there's no Christian Wilkins, Marcus Epps, and Malcolm Kuntz. I mean, come on. We don't got 3 of the starters on defense, and they're all important players. We didn't have players behind them that could play at that level. We didn't. We kind of knew that. We knew the depth would be a problem. And on offense, we don't have Michael Mayer available. That's a big one. We can't block anybody. We can't run the ball. I wasn't aware of that. I thought, Colt Miller and JPJ, they didn't play in the preseason, so they weren't ready to go. And then we seem to like rookies at right tackle. We seem here in every regime to like rookies at right tackle. Okay, we got a good one in DJ Glaze. Thayer Mumford, we lined up Thayer Mumford to play receiver, to be a decoy. Whoa, what was that? Someone pointed out there's Thayer Mumford. He's lined up wide. Really? We can't run the ball. We're going jumbo and we can't even move the pile. Here's what else is concerning to me. When we have to go this far, if you're watching on YouTube, JT the Brick, YT, you see my hands. If we have to go this far, why is the quarterback in the shotgun and the running back behind the quarterback? We only got to go this far. Really, we only have to go this far, a yard or two, and we are lining up the quarterback in the shotgun, and we're running at their best player, Chris Jones. That didn't happen in a meeting. No one suggested that. I'm convinced there's no one in the building that said, we're going to line up on the 3-yard line. We're going to be in shotgun. We're going to run it at Chris Jones. We're going to do that? Like, what was that? We're going to do it twice? Okay, so we got that out of the way. Let's fix that. Okay, this is not hard stuff. The other thing is this week, my big pet peeve is why don't we throw it to Brock Bowers more? I mean, come on. I had the microphone on the field. I said, I came here for the Brock Bowers party. His first 3 receptions were for first downs. Why'd we get away from that? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? Why did we get away from throwing the ball to Brock Bowers? I don't understand this. The defense is pretty good. I mean, until Kansas City goes 12 of 16 on 3rd down. The middle of the field, wide open again. Like you're robbing a bank and the vault's open. You don't even have to go in. We didn't put our hands on Kelsey. That couldn't have happened. That's all I say. For weeks, you can't tell me that I don't bring you fresh content, but you can criticize me for saying, JT, why every year do you say, put your hands on Kelsey? He runs like a deer in the forest, untouched. I go, I don't know. I think it's the one thing I think I know because I've covered Kelsey's entire career. And all he does is run around untouched, never hit, and has a big game. That didn't get fixed. So with all this happening here, I just think they need to make changes. They need to make play calling changes. They need to make personnel changes. I'm all for Desmond Ridder playing right now the rest of the year. Let me get that out of the way. Let me get that out of the way for anybody who doesn't understand what I'm saying. I'm all for making Ridder the starting quarterback and do not touch him. He's the quarterback, period. Let's see if this kid can play. Because it could be our backup going forward. He could play great. I don't know. I doubt it, but he could play great. And we could be sitting here going, because he's like the next Derek Carr. And Carr was a very, very, very good player. Okay? I understand why the organization moved on from him. Okay, I get that. We've all discussed that. But Ridder has got a lot of Carr characteristics, and he's more mobile. And he played on a team in Atlanta when he came into the league. They threw him into the fire. Can you remember anybody Desmond Ridder played with? Can you name one player he played with? You can't. And he was 8-9. He was 8-9. I want to see him play every snap the rest of the season. If Aiden comes back and Aiden has a great practice and they want to put Aiden back in, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. But you got to let Desmond Ridder play. He might be good. He might be good. I thought Gardner was good. I thought Garoppolo was good. What are you going to do, arrest me and put me in Twitter jail? That I thought Jimmy Garoppolo, who won 4 playoff games, including an NFC championship and a Super Bowl, was a bum? He wasn't a bum. He was a good player. Gardner Minshew's not a bum. He's a good player. I watched him beat the Raiders in Oakland. I watched him beat the Raiders in Indy. I got his career stats in front of me. They're identical to Trevor Lawrence. He's not a bum. He's not a bum. He's a good player. Now let's see if Desmond Ridder can play. He might be good. If he's not good, he's not going to be back, right? Do we all understand that? Anybody on this team who's not good is not going to be back. So I'm not into the practice squad. Let's put all the subs in. You know me. I got to work the pre and post game. I don't want to see all the subs play. I want the starters to play. But I definitely want the quarterback to be Desmond Ridder. And I'll say that one more time before our guest. I want Desmond Ridder to play. because I've seen the other two quarterbacks and they're not playing well. And Desmond Ridder might be okay. He might be able to go throw for 300 yards. 300 yards? Maybe he can do that. Let me bring in Paul Gutierrez, who's kind enough to join us from ESPN, as he joins us every couple of weeks. I mean, Paul, you just heard me there. I'm ranting a bit. I'm good with Ridder. He's played well in this league. So did Gardner. He's not playing well. So's Aiden. He's played well. He's hurt. When are we going to see Ridder play?
Yeah, what's interesting, JT, is we saw him on the field for one snap, right? But it gets wiped out by a false start on Jackson Powers Johnson, so we didn't get to see exactly what he was going to do. Never got back on the field again. It's interesting because they bring him in, but they have 3 quarterbacks active for the game, just in case something went wrong, right? And that, to me, signaled that he wasn't really fully up to speed with the playbook yet. And how could he have been? He just arrived this week. So maybe we see a little bit of him this weekend in Cincinnati, just on some specialized design plays. And then you get into the bye. And if Gardner is still, turning the ball over as he has been unusually high this season, then I think you get the whole bye. You get the whole bye week to get Desmond Ridder up to speed and give him a shot at Miami, and you just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I disagree. I'll push back on that. Why wait for the bye? The team's 2-6. I mean, the season, that's something I would agree with if the team was around 500. And this season now, I don't think you have to wait for anything. And again, I don't want to compare it to Baker Mayfield, who had the Rams playbook for less than 24 hours and beat the Raiders, but I think Desmond Ridder didn't have enough time last week to play against the world champions. But for Cincinnati, who hasn't won at home, and a team like that that's trailing, I'd like to see him start because I think I've seen enough of Gardner. And where do you assess Gardner? He had a decent statistical game, but that fumble against Kansas City was so costly. He's got to protect the ball better than that.
Yeah, and that's been the thing that's been hanging around Gardner's neck all season is that he's just turned the ball over so many times. He's among the lead leaders. If he's not still, I haven't checked, but he was leading the league. He was tied for the league lead in turnovers heading into last week, and he had another. And even he said it himself is that it's not fair to the rest of the team when he's doing that because it's putting everybody's back against the wall, especially the defense, and that point of the field too. So that's the thing. It really all kind of depends upon where is in the playbook, and it'll be kind of a cool story. I actually did kind of make it my bold prediction that we would see him on the field. I didn't predict he would start, but that we would see him on the field because it would be a homecoming of him of sorts in Cincinnati. He and Trey Tucker can relive some of that Bearcat glory, right, from a couple of years ago, and that might be a way to kind of get into it as well.
Paul Gutierrez, ESPN.com. So going back to the game, I thought it was interesting that they got away from Bowers. It's hard to do that. And because we've been friends and go back a while and I've had you on so much, is that I thought the former regime failed Michael Mayer because when Josh McDaniels did get him the ball and he made good plays, they forgot about him for 2 games. And I never want to see that happen with Brock. And I don't think it is going to happen. But how do you go from the first 3 receptions being first downs for this guy not getting the ball for a quarter and a half?
Well, officially, the reasoning, at least by Antonio Pierce yesterday, was that they started bringing different pressures. So, therefore, Gardner didn't have enough time to find Brock Bowers. But again, if you got a special talent, this is a guy that heading into last night's game, Brock Bowers was leading the NFL in receptions. Despite having kind of an off game last Sunday and not having as many as he usually does. But you got to get fancy. I don't know if fancy is the right word. You got to get him the ball. And it's as simple as that, whether that's just handing it off to him as the H-back, whether that's throwing him a slant, whatever it is. It just seems to me that you should be able to throw a slant to Jacoby coming across the middle, and that's going to open up and drags on the outside to Brock Bowers. And obviously, hindsight's 20/20, and we're not offensive coordinators, but it seems the mission should be pretty simple. Get the ball to your playmakers, to your best players, regardless of what the other team is doing to you. And if that pass rush is coming, that's going to open up something else, right? And that's, to me, it's always been that fine line between taking what the defense gives you and taking what you want.
Yeah, I'll go back to the former regime again and Josh McDaniels and now Luke Getsy. They know what they're doing. They're professional play callers. I mean, McDaniels had arguably more success than anyone in the modern era calling plays for world championship teams. It didn't work out here. And Getsy was hired knowing that. When Getsy got hired, he knew that Cliff Kingsbury was choice 1. It didn't happen. And that was contract status and all that. I get that. But when he sat down in the first press conference, he was aware of the pressure there would be in this role, the esteemed Raiders. And he'd probably have to open it up a little bit, or these fans are not going to like it. And the running game is so bad that I would think that he'd want to throw it more. But there are times you have to establish the run, and you just can't get away from it the entire game. So as you talk to Getsy and ask him questions, what do you sense he's thinking about opening up the offense now that the record's 2-6?
Well, I think the question is this also, is how much of a directive is he taking from the head coach? Because Antonio Pierce, again, it's kind of that ultimate question. What is the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, different result. They just keep pounding the ball in the middle and they're not getting anywhere. They're actually losing yards. So how do you then make that work? And they were a lot more creative a couple of games ago. You saw a lot of the jet sweeps. You saw some trick plays here and there to keep going. And we haven't seen that the last 2 weeks. And that's what's been so frustrating, I believe, for fans. And for us up in the press box to watch, just kind of scratch our head and go, okay, what was the point of that? And to me, that's the ultimate question, is how much freedom does Luke have to do it? And you would imagine he's got 100% freedom to do it. But listening to Antonio yesterday, he wants to continue to run the ball, because even here after 8 games, this was the distress signal to me, was we still haven't found out what our identity is. And if you don't know that halfway through a season, there's much more going on than just not being able to run the ball.
So, Paul, last one on a personal note. I don't talk about the offseason until the offseason. I can't go down that rabbit hole. I can't talk about the draft in October, because then the show gets completely off the rails, and I don't do that. But I know you have to provide big content for ESPN and your editors and all that, and you're going to look ahead at some talent, who's going to be back or not. So what I'm asking you is the trade deadline. I'm seeing a lot of players want to play for Kansas City. They get traded to Baltimore. I normally am not that guy, but I'll bend this year. I think Tom Telesco has the opportunity, because he's got all this cap space going forward, which I'm really excited about. It's obvious they're going to get a quarterback somewhere down the road. Do the Raiders think about trading a couple of bodies here at the end to try to get something in return?
Well, it depends upon what you think you can get in return, right? I mean, if you can only get a conditional third rounder for an all-pro potential future Hall of Famer in Devontae Adams, what else is on that roster that's going to get you something back? What could Jacoby Myers get you back that's going to set you up for the future, So that you look at the roster, you think, okay, what's your biggest trade chip if you decide to go that route? And it's not tanking. It's not calling it a season. It's being realistic and trying to set the table for the future, because now you also got another decision maker in the room whose role we don't really know exactly what it is yet, but we heard the owner talk about it, in Tom Brady. They need a quarterback. Brady played the position at the highest level you could ever imagine this side of Joe Montana. And you just kind of look at it that way too, because they do need that franchise quarterback going forward.
Thank you, Paul. Always appreciate your time. Have a good trip to Cincinnati. We'll see you after the bye week.
I would wish you luck tonight with the Yankees and Dodgers,
let's
but
stop.
I'm not going to do that.
Let's stop for a second. No, hold on. I apologize for not. I apologize not going down that road for you. To you, I'm not humiliated. I'm just shocked because I love Judge so much, and I know he's a great player. And Ohtani's in a bit of a slump. I think you'd agree. A little bit of a slump, but he's a great player too. Did you ever imagine that it would be this easy for your Dodgers against my Yankees?
I did not. I thought they would split in my prediction coming in, JT, honestly, was Dodgers in 6. That way the Dodgers could win game 6 at home on Fernando's birthday. But easy, I don't know. The pitching has just really stood up. And for the Dodgers perspective, I mean, that was their biggest weakness, right? Was starting pitching. And they've been lights out. So with it being a bullpen game today, maybe that helps the Yankee bats kind of wake up a little bit, or maybe just keeps them asleep. But it reminds me a lot of the 88 World Series, not only because of the Freddie Freeman, Kirk Gibson home runs in game 1 that shell-shocked the A's and maybe did it to the Yankees too, but remember, in that series, Canseco and McGuire were like a combined 2 for 40 or something in the whole series, and that's kind of what you're looking at here with Judge.
Thank you, Paul. Take care, buddy.
Take care.
All right, Paul Gutierrez is a Dodger fan. I'm a Yankee fan. What's reminding me of this World Series is my late great friend Pete Rose, who just passed away. And I didn't see any tributes to Pete Rose, and that chaps me. I didn't see anything. If I missed it, remind me. But when the Yankees lost the World Series in 1976, they got swept at home by the Big Red Machine. Johnny Bench, Pete Rose, Tony Perez, swept. And I was a little boy at that time living in New York, and I remember being distraught because I had Thurman Munson, my catcher, great team, and I'm like, we got swept. But my dad reminded me we got swept by the Big Red Machine, who was just a juggernaut. And remember, the Reds the year before beat Bobby's Red Sox in the Carlton Fisk series. So the Reds were battle tested. And they beat the Yankees like the Yankees didn't even deserve to be there. And the Yankees had a hell of a team. They got swept 4-0. Well, the Yankees didn't have a hell of a team this year. As I told you all year, if you listened on other platforms, the Yankees were kind of bad all year. People think I'm nuts. They're like, well, they went to the World Series. How bad can they be? Well, you must have not have watched. Because all year they scored no runs in games in the Bronx, and they blew 13 saves, 12 of them with Clay Holmes. I mean, I watch every game. So I saw all the bad baseball that they played, and most of the country didn't. They just saw Judge commercials and Stanton hitting home runs. They're not a very good team. And they got to the World Series, but I expected a fight. I didn't think the Dodgers were this good because no one expected Freddie Freeman, who's injured. He's injured. Freddie Freeman to just hit a home run every game. Yeah. And I mean, he's not getting cheap home runs. He is turning on the baseball and tattooing it. And come on. And I didn't expect Giancarlo Stanton not to be able to run and try to score. I'll get to that. We got some good audio of me last night. You wait to hear that. But yeah, I've had a rough week. No one cares. That's why I don't talk about me going and talking about food and movies much and doing small talk with you guys and gals because no one cares. So when I tell a story about my son and I, a lot of people appreciated that because I don't waste time like other people on radio who waste your time. I get very emotional when my teams win and lose. That's who I am. I'll always be that guy. And man, did I take it on the chin this week. In LA for the walk-off grand slam, on the field for Patrick Mahomes winning in a game he shouldn't have. I mean, I am going through a rough patch here. Rough patch. And I'm going to vote today. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to vote today. So I got a big day lined up today. And I got to interview the coach tomorrow. And we'll preview Cincinnati starting tomorrow. Raider 27 in Salt Lake City. What's happening?
For you, man. I feel your pain. I'm a Raiders fan. I know what it's like to be going through this. Mm-hmm. I went to the game this weekend, mm-hmm. and I know you heard all about it yesterday, but there's a couple things that I observed watching live that I kind of wanted to bring up. Mm-hmm. There's no excuse. It wasn't like they locked him down. He was open. We just wouldn't throw the ball. There was once Trey Tucker was behind everybody, and Minshew had rolled out, and he saw him and just threw a 5-yard pass. And I was like, oh, my gosh. I didn't think the play calling was terrible until they got inside the 10-yard line. And then I don't understand why they would run zone. This offensive line is not quick enough to run a zone offense. They get beat in holes.
Yep.
I do want to give a shout out. I was a season ticket holder, went to every game for 7 years when they were in Los Angeles. And I've gone to a game or two every year that I could that they've been in Vegas. The Chiefs fans at that game were the most respectful and friendly fans of any visiting fans I've ever seen. We were walking out of the stadium, and they're dapping us up and shaking our hands and telling us, man, you guys got a really, really good team. You just need a quarterback. And they really, they really did their best because they knew they should. They were like, we should have lost that game. Guys really, really played tough. So I really appreciated that. So there may not be any Chiefs fans listening, but they deserve to be commended because they were so well behaved, and so friendly, and so respectful of the Raiders and us. And I just wanted to make sure that they got props for that.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And let me jump in. Appreciate that you came for the game. Thanks. The thing about Allegiant Stadium compared to Oakland is they're completely different. And anybody who doesn't understand that is ridiculously ignorant. Okay? Oakland is gritty. It's barbecues. It's tailgates. It's loud. It's more angry, more intense. That was Oakland. It was great. The best years of my life were in Oakland. I love Oakland. Never wanted to leave Oakland. 100 times. 1,000 times. Never wanted to leave Oakland. Team had left for an array of reasons. mostly because of the idiot politicians in the Bay Area who couldn't put a deal together nor saw the value of the Raiders. Now, you can sit there and there's good and bad. You can criticize the Raiders. They could have did a deal or that, the A's, all that. It's complicated. But you know I'm right when I talk about what Oakland had and didn't care about when it came to a city and a political city. They blew it. They blew it. So the Raiders could have went where? Could have went back to Carson? Yeah, they were pretty close. They actually won the vote. They won the vote to go with the Chargers. Oh, my God, think about that. If the Chargers moved to Vegas, they would have been out of business. No one would have went to the games. They couldn't have got 10,000 fans there. Don't tell me about MGM and Bellagio and the Wynn Club. They would have got nobody there. So the Chargers wouldn't have worked here. Raiders would because Vegas is hot. Vegas is big. Vegas is the sports and entertainment capital of the world. So the Raiders come here. They do an amazing job building a city around this, on time and on budget. The 872 laborers. Let's get the plug in, our partner, brought to you by Tommy White. So they come here. Are there some hiccups? Are there too many fans? Yes. I apologize that people want to come here and they don't want to go to Ames, Iowa for the weekend, and they don't want to go, somewhere, Tupelo, Mississippi. They kind of want to come to Vegas, and they have an unlimited budget, and they want to go to a football game. I apologize for that. Blame me that they want to do that. But the only thing that's going to change everything is winning. You got to win games. You got Brock Bowers to build the franchise around Max Crosby. Those are two nice pieces. You know the Raiders are going to get a quarterback. I'm just not talking about it much now. And you got to not press a reset because now we're a top 5 team in the NFL financially. Wow, that happened quick. There's a lot of good things that are happening other than the fact that the team is sputtering because they can't block anybody and they're not healthy. Let me repeat that again. They can't block anybody and they're not healthy. Sooner or later, they'll block some people and they'll get healthy. And then maybe we'll be talking about a run to the Super Bowl. I thought by year 5, the Raiders would be in the path of getting to a Super Bowl. A lot of you did too. Not everybody, because some people are just going to hate everything. I get it. But a lot of people 5 years ago, when I anchored this, shoveling the ground with the tux on, thought, 3 to 5 years, the Raiders would get to a Super Bowl. It didn't happen. You still got to do radio shows, still got to play games, still got to sell tickets, still got to sell beer, still got to go. So we'll figure it out. But it's taken a while. And a lot of people are upset about it, including me. But I got to do a show, and we got to beat Cincinnati. But I got fans who don't want to beat Cincinnati. How about that, Bobby? I'm not used to that. I got fans who don't want to beat Cincinnati. They actually want the team to fly on an airplane and go to a city in front of Raider fans there and lose the game on purpose. That's what I'm dealing with. Good job by Paul Gutierrez. We got a big show lined up. Brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka.
Previously on Unnecessary Roughness.
I love how Raider Nation knows their team so well. It can identify what's going on with their team, what's wrong with their team, what the team needs to do better, identify what they do really well. I love being able to talk with Raider Nation because I understand how much Raider Nation, one, is very passionate about the team and also what they know about the team and kind of how
Play the Pierce cut coming back. Play that one about keep running.
I walk away from. I'm doing a radio show. We have a producer. We go over our sound things. I get a glass of water. Sometimes I go to the restroom. So I'm not going to be here. I'm going to count on everybody. What's that? What's it? This one? Well, hold on, right here. There you go. Man, we just talked to an angry caller on hold. He's all mad at me. All mad at me. Says I'm mean. I don't put everybody on. I talk too much. Woo, man, we got some people around here. He doesn't realize that we have his phone number, and he oh, it's like the old days, Bobby. People are upset, man. It's like the old days. It's like overnights back in the 90s.
About 30 seconds.
Okay. We're open here, and then we got Bill.
Yep, 45.
So I'll probably get to some of that presser sound. Yep.
We're gonna have about 5-6 minutes.
The fluffer. Yeah, people get really mad at people like me. I'm a great guy. Everybody who knows me, ask Fabian. That's Big D. We're great friends, man. People like me when they meet me. But man, when you listen to the radio in a cave all day, I could be annoying. If you just hear me every day in a cave or in your mom's basement, it could anger you. There's some angry people out there.
Brought to you by PT, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Oh no, we gotta run the ball. You can't do that. You can't sit there and throw the ball 50 times, 40 times. We haven't been successful doing it. So we'll keep pounding again. On Wednesday, we'll get back out there early downs and figure out a way to run the ball. Right? Try to have different packages. Put Mumford in there at tight end a bunch, and try to get him in it. Just get bigger on these guys. Just whatever it takes to win the line of scrimmage.
That's Antonio Pearson running the ball. Got no problem with that because you have to run the ball in football. But you have to try. If you're trying and it's not working, you have to get out of it. And that's my only fair criticism is they can't run the ball. Now, they are awful at running the football. They're not bad at passing it, but the turnovers tell a different story. So if you say to the guys, look, we're not running it well, we're going to put it on you to pass block, and they're not pass blocking well, and the quarterback's running for his life, you got a big problem on your hand. It's nice when you can run the ball and get 4.5 yards a carry or break one for 12 yards. Where is that? I thought Zamir White was going to be that guy. He's not the guy. But can you blame Zamir or can you blame the offensive line? There's a lot of blame to go around. A lot of fans are upset about the inability to run the ball, including Lincoln Kennedy, who joins me every week. A lot smarter than I am. And Lincoln Kennedy, just you got to run it. You got to try, and they can't do it. So how do you think that's enjoyable for Lincoln, who calls the game, and they're going to call some running plays? But do you go from calling 35 runs to 20? I would. I don't think the running game works. We've seen enough of it. It doesn't work. It will work next year because they're going to bring in new personnel. They're going to hopefully get a better offensive lineman to go along with Jackson Powers-Johnson. Jackson Powers-Johnson and DJ Glaze are the foundation of this offensive line going forward. They're jumping off sides a little bit. They're making mistakes, but they're good players. They're going to be around here for a while. Andre James is under contract. Don't know what Dylan Parham's hurt now. He can't go. And then you look around and Colton Miller, I hope his best years are not behind him because I'm a big fan of Colton. But yeah, the offensive line's got to be fixed dramatically. And that's going to be Tom Telesco's job. And they're going to have a ton of money, and they're going to have some high draft picks the way the team's going right now. I think we'd all agree on that. From Antonio Pierce here, this was from yesterday on the unscripted plays. Remember, when they come out and they're scripted, they're pretty good, but what happens next?
I think you just always go back to, the plays that's working, and there's nothing wrong with repeating plays. You see that from other teams. And again, I'm not saying we don't do that. It comes down to execution, right? And there's a lot of things that go into it, from protection to route running to getting the ball off on time. All that stuff goes into play. We need all 11 on the same page.
All right, here's the comment that got a lot of I think feedback yesterday on Bowers, the team didn't go back to Bowers as much as they were able to do. So the coach addressed that in the press conference about what is happening with Bowers going forward.
Yeah, second half, a lot more pressure. A lot more pressure in the second half. He just dialed it up and just kept bringing it consistently, left, right, up the middle. And that, at that point, quarterback's getting rid of the ball faster.
Well, I have a problem with that. It doesn't matter if there's more pressure. Bowers can get the ball behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. So if you say, okay, we can't get the ball to Trey Tucker, we can't throw it deep, I get it. I'm fine with that. You can't say that about Bowers. Bowers got to get the ball. I don't care how much pressure's coming. He's your release valve. He's the guy you drop it off to, and you try to get him the ball. And I think that's something they're probably going to work on this week in Henderson. 702-365-9200. Here's Tony in San Jose. What's happening, Tony?
How you doing, JT?
Doing good, thanks.
Yeah, first off, I want to say I appreciate your show. It's nice to hear a positive attitude, in really bleak times. I've been a Raider fan my whole life. My happiest day of my childhood was when the Raiders beat Minnesota in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. After seeing them lose to Steelers every now and then in the playoffs. And I can remember when the Raiders were the most winningest team of any sport. Mm-hmm. I'm talking hockey, everything. We were the winningest team. I mean, we almost got spoiled with them winning. Monday night, we were the biggest winners on Monday night. Yeah. And, it was like everything in life, things change. But I just want to put a shout out to Aiden O'Connell. I hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Mm-hmm. I think Aiden is a beautiful quarterback. He's just young, and he needs better linemen. Like Carr. I remember when we had the best offensive line, and he did fine. We were 16-3.
Yeah.
As soon as Donald Penn went down, he went down. And it hasn't been the same since. You give Carr a horrible line, things get bad. But I think with Aiden, all you need, I was kind of a little upset in the draft when they went and got Bowers because I'm thinking another tight end. I thought they were going to get that big Samoan guy from Oregon State.
Yep.
But they got DJ Glaze and they got Johnson. That made up for it. But they need some more linemen, and I think that kid with just a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. And I just hope because he broke his hand, he doesn't get lost in the shuffle and they forget.
Yeah, I would agree on that. And I appreciate your call there. And if you look on, I really looking back to Carr and when he was playing well in the offensive line, you mentioned Donald Penn. Donald joined us from the Torch this last game. When you look at all this, you think you're putting the best guys out on the field. You can't have all pros at every position. You can't. But we got an opportunity to build around Bowers. The Raider Nation does. He's a hell of a kid. Great winner. I'm not concerned about him. He came from Georgia. He from Napa High School, went to Georgia. All he did is win. Now he's losing, but he's having individual success. There are coaches that are paid to make sure that Bowers is in a good place mentally and physically because he's playing on a team that's really struggling to win games. He's a best player, and he doesn't want to screw around and play any games. He doesn't want to play Wordle. He doesn't want to go out there and do bits. He just wants to win football games. We need more of that. We need more of that from every player that comes in. And Devontae left. And how's that working out for Devontae? I wanted to get that in because it's a big deal. No one else quit on this team or left this team. Devontae did. And traded him with Aaron Rodgers and what's going on with him. We're brought to you by Modelo. Everything we do on this show is based around Modelo. And the bucket of Modelo's on Friday, the #1 beer in America.
It's the morning tailgate.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports.
If we ever really want to see if Antonio Pierce can be a great head coach in this league, the two things he's going to need is a roster full of people.
All right, we'll take this to the top of the hour.
That's how you win.
We got hockey at the top of the hour.
Either. I look around and I wonder.
We live in a town with a hockey
for
team.
The Raiders are really for these players. That's what they got to start addressing this offseason in a big, big way.
The morning tailgate, weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio, 920 a.m.
Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders and Allegiant Stadium. Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please responsibly.
Understanding the many things in a mother's life affecting her pregnancy is important. You can help improve the health of all mothers and babies in Nevada by completing a pregnancy risk assessment monitoring system survey about your recent pregnancy. Also known as PRAMS, the survey is from the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The survey asks new moms about before, during, and after pregnancy. Responses are confidential and used to help improve the health of mothers and babies in Nevada. If you receive a PRAMS survey, please share your story. Learn more at nvprams.dpbh.nv.gov. That's nvprams.dpbh.nv.gov. This message sponsored by the Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health, aired in cooperation with the Nevada Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is JT for the Black Hole, home of football's most notorious fans. If you're a diehard Raider fan, this is your home. Become a member today and receive 20% off online purchases, hotel discounts for home and away games, and much more. All memberships are now lifetime member, always a member. If you bleed silver and black, visit theblackhole.com today. That's theblackhole.com.
Hi, I'm Miley O'Keefe. In competitive gymnastics, flexibility and precision are crucial, and Les Olson IT knows how important flexibility and precision are to your business. It's why they deliver the very best IT security, office equipment, collaborative technology, and so much more. Let Les Olson IT's Perfect 10 service empower your business at lesolsonit.com.
I'm gonna go vote today. My wife wanted to wait for my son to get back in town, but I said I don't need to vote with my son. He can do that on his own. I just don't have any free time until Tuesday. Then we got big day tomorrow, Raiders rundown from noon to 1. And that's kind of a TV show now, which is pretty cool. And then the rest of the week's be busy. I can, Kevin. I don't like to fight or do anything wrong. I like everybody. I don't want to fight at this stage of my life. But there's never been an angry caller that's ever shown their face or came up to me. We're still waiting for the first one. They don't exist. They exist on hold, and they exist on anonymous social media sites. I like too many people. I get along with too many. All right, Bill's ready. Williamson. He is going to be brutally honest right now.
ZipZap is your one-stop shop, offering 24-hour smog test, oil changes, detailing, bodywork, engine, and transmission rebuilding. And ZipZap provides free towing and diagnostics with qualifying repairs. No appointment necessary, 24-hour service. ZipZap Auto at Cheyenne and North.
All right, let's do this.
Online at zipzapauto.com.
Gaming
is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders
Yep.
Allegiant Stadium.
All right, everything else?
But always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley.
Big D, you're a big guy, man. You're in shape. I've seen you. You can put up a good one.
Workforce solution.
No, they were good. I mean, they're good for what you could be good for after a loss, if that makes sense, right? There was no pointing fingers. There was no get back to work. Like I told the guys today, man, like we got to do this for another 9 weeks. And that's what we signed up for. So it's not easy. It's tough. Don't like it. Wish it was easier. Wish we come here with a smile and give you all the right answers. But we're still searching for the answers. And that's our job.
Santonio Pierce, always accountable. Team's not playing well. He goes to the microphone a couple of times a week, and he tells you what he thinks. And I think he's very accountable. It's part of the job. I think he's good at that part of the job. He'd like to win. Last year he was winning. It was a lot more fun. Cigar parties, the press conferences were a little bit more loose. Now they're losing, and it's, he's addressing it as Bill Williamson joins us, our longest tenured Raider insider. And Bill, I was telling everybody on our YouTube channel before you came on, you're brutally honest in a good way, and you've covered this team as long as anybody I know. We go back a long way. Give me your assessment on what went wrong with this 4-game losing streak.
Wow. I mean, look, it's just nothing exotic. It's just little mistakes. It's just you're just constantly making mistakes and hurting themselves and just being outplayed by the other team. I mean, if you look at their losses this year, all 6 of them, except fans love to say, "Oh man, we could have won that. We could have won that game. We could be this." The 6 losses that were happening. They lost all of those games. Now the last 2 have been closer, but hey, look at this is the NFL. A lot of games are close. You got to win games. You got to figure out how to win games. Like this Kansas City game was just such an example. I mean, you get the long punt return by Turner and the penalty. You get the ball in the 29. You get the ball all the way down to the 4, and then all of a sudden it's 1st and goal from the 4. And now it's 4th and goal from the 14. You get the ball in the 3 after the interception, and you don't get any points. I mean, that's losing football, and they continue to do those type of things.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's 1 or 2, and a lot of teams have 1 or 2 penalties and they don't lose, right? They have 1 or 2 penalties and a turnover or 2 and they win. This team can't do that, which is shocking to me because there are going to be games where you have 2 turnovers and you don't run it well, but you put the game on your quarterback or your punter, your kicker kicks 3 field goals, and you just find a way to win. That's not even happening here for this team. I know you wrote about Ritter or Minshew going forward. I'm all for Ritter. I think he can play. I don't know what he looks like now. I got to see him. But I wouldn't wait till after the bye week. If you think this guy can win and you're going to Cincinnati where he was a star and he might have some extra juice, why not let him go?
Yeah, interesting point because look at he's probably a backup, but you never know. I mean, 2 months ago he didn't make a roster after a training camp, so it's hard to say he's the answer. He's there because there's an injury, but you never know. Guys have gotten change of sceneries and done well. We know what Minshew is, so maybe it's time to see what Ritter is for you in the time when O'Connor's out. I put a tweet out last week. I predicted Minshew gets the next 2 games, and then Ritter comes in after the bye. Because I like the whole Cincinnati idea and juice and get him all fired up, but he's only him a week, so get him again a second week of practice this week, and then you get the bye week next week, and then it makes a little bit more sense, and it gives them a better chance to perform in your system. So unless Minshew has a really big game against the Bengals and they win, I would expect, and this is certainly not a report, but I would expect that you see Ritter coming out of the bye, and then you give him a couple, 2-3 games, and then you get O'Connell back, and then you regroup and you figure it out from there. But at least because you know what you got in Minshew, right? So let's see what this kid has. I would think that's coming after the bye.
Bill Williamson joins us. Great insider, covers the NFL, has been covering the Raiders now for 28 straight seasons. Bill, what happened to Zamir White? I mean, it's easy for me to say he had an injury, he's coming out of it. The offensive line isn't blocking well. The scheme to run the ball the way they're running it. You've been covering this team so long, you know the difference between power blocking, zone blocking, jumbo. What are the Raiders doing wrong with him?
I don't know. Maybe he's just not a great fit for Getsy's offense. I've seen that talked about and written. Maybe Alexander Matson is a better fit. I don't know. Zamir White's an interesting guy. I mean, he came in. He didn't have Jacobs. He didn't do. He got a chance last year and he did well. He had 100-yard rushing twice when he started the last 4 games of last year, including 145 yards at Kansas City, and really closed out that game. Aiden O'Connell couldn't complete a pass in the last 3 quarters of that game, and he helped close that game out. And then now this year against Kansas City, he gets 2 carries, I think. And that's an interesting thing. After he came back from the injury in his 2 games, he's only had 5 carries. So I think there's a real belief issue with him within the coaching staff right now that they just maybe don't think he's the right guy. But I think he will get chances as the season goes. But, we're halfway through this thing, and the running game is just not, no matter who it is, and blame it on, I think it goes to everybody. It's the running backs, it's the offensive line, and it's the scheme.
Last one, you got a chance to see Kansas City. What'd you think? It's easy for me to say they weren't over the top impressive. They don't look to be an elite team, but they're undefeated. They're going for a three-peat. They're only going to get better. They're only going to figure it out and get more rest and be ready for the postseason. When you looked away after the Kansas City Raider game, what was your assessment of the world champion Chiefs?
They're just professionals. They know how to win. We opened this up about the Raiders not knowing how to win. The Chiefs know how to win.
Yeah.
Extremely well coached. I don't want to hear a thing about the quarterback. He's the best quarterback on the planet. They have a lot of, their receivers. They tried to fix the receiver deal. It didn't work because of the injuries. Rice gets hurt, and see what happens with Hopkins. I think he'll help. Kelsey, that's a good sign for him that he had the 10 catches against the Raiders. And I think the defense is underrated. And I think when they're going to get Pacheco back, I think we're going to see the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game at least.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know who can stop them. And Buffalo or the other teams in the past, Baltimore can't. They win, they lose. It's interesting to see that they're still undefeated. Great talking to you, Bill. Always looking for your content. Thanks for coming on with me.
All right. See you, JT.
Bill Williamson. Follow him. It's a good follow. And if you're a Raider fan and you're a little upset about what the team's not doing right, read his stuff because he points out exactly what they're not doing right. B. Williamson on NFL. Bill Williamson joining us. That's a fun hour. We got Gary Lawless. So I'll say goodbye to the bricklayers there on YouTube. Appreciate everybody helping me build that platform, which the Raiders are excited about what we're doing tomorrow on Wednesday. So the first hour of the show on Wednesday is exclusively Raiders Rundown. We air it here, but it gets built into a TV show that they air Saturday night after college football. So that's fun. We do that tomorrow. We button up. We talk to the coach tomorrow. A lot of things I'm talking about here, I'm going to ask the coach tomorrow. How do you not go away from Bowers? How do you keep running the ball when you should be throwing? Well, I'll ask him that to his face. He will answer it to me as he always does to my face. We'll have a nice professional conversation, and then we'll hope the Raiders win in Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a mess.
Yeah.
A mess. We are playing. Let me tell you the teams left that we're playing who are a mess. And we had the ability to win and put a couple wins in the bank. We got Tua in Miami. They're a mess. We got Cincinnati. They're a train wreck. We have Jacksonville on the schedule. They're a mess. We got Bo Nix, and they're not a mess, but you better believe you can beat Bo Nix. Give me a break. So I gave you 4 games and 4 teams that I think are winnable, right? Winnable games. Who are you playing there? But they're saying, you know what they're saying about the Raiders? Man, we got the Raiders. We got to play Green Bay. We got to play San Francisco, but we got the Raiders. No teams have ever said we got the Raiders and wanted them over the decades. Now they are. That should be the pride and the poise and the commitment to excellence. That's what Max Crosby does. I've been having fun. Look, a lot of this is fun. I know I get a little bit riled up. My Yankees look like they're going to get swept. The Raiders look like they're struggling to win a game. But we're all talking sports. Not talking politics. We're not talking Gaza. We're not talking about crazy things around the world. We're talking sports. And sometimes it goes well and other times it doesn't. I'm going through one of those runs right now. But I hope the shows are enjoyable to you. Hope you're enjoying our content. And as we push forward is the best way to say it, Bobby. We are pushing forward here. And we appreciate everybody who hangs in there with us. We don't have a show without you. Hey, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Janet Jackson will be at the Resorts World Theater. Hey, tickets are on sale New Year's week at AXS.com. Take your friends, your partner, your wife, your girlfriend to Janet Jackson.
The Raiders have one more game before their bye week, and it'll happen.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you all. Anything else I missed in here before I sign out? All right, Scorpions. Love that. I listen for therapy. Yeah, my wife and son call me the Raider therapist. I don't like therapy. I've never taken therapy in my life. Maybe I should have, but that ship has sailed. Thanks, everybody. Please hit the like button on the way out. Please share this with friends. Please use some other. Look at the CEO. Oh, the CEO, man, one of the great callers. When I started, the CEO, me and him on the Jim Rome show. And the CEO will tell you I won the most important smack off. The first one. The first one's the big one. And we actually had better callers back then, period, CEO. You know that. Appreciate everybody. Lou Payon, go Bills, one of my great friends, one of the best realtors in Vegas. Realtors, you need to sell, buy a home. You need to do anything real estate-wise. You go to Lou Payon, and that guy will take care of you. Yes, CEO, the only one that mattered in my mind.